I asked 3,000 people to give every single Mario Kart game a rating from 1 to 5. Using that data, I've created a list of every single game in the series, from least to most popular. So, which games will rank highly? The retro charm of Super Mario Kart? The two-player action of Double Dash? The modern polish of Mario Kart 8? Well, let's answer all of those questions as we find out what are the most and least popular Mario Kart games. By the way, this is the first of 2 Mario Kart ranking videos. Next week we'll be ranking every single track from Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, so stick around till the end if you want to take part. First, I had to make a list of every single Mario Kart game that I wanted people to rank. First off were the obvious inclusions. People consider there to be 8 main Mario Kart games, and sure, that's fine. But to mix things up, I decided to add 2 more games to the list. First, Mario Kart Live Home Circuit, which was released a couple of years back for the Nintendo Switch. It's more of a spin-off than a regular Mario Kart game, and full disclosure, I've never played it. There's not enough room in my living room. But it sold 1 million copies and it says Mario Kart on the box, so fine. I also included Mario Kart Tour, the mobile phone version of Mario Kart. The game's had over 200 million downloads, so I wanted to see what people thought of it. Lastly, I did not include the 4 arcade versions of Mario Kart. Out of my subscribers, only a tiny fraction will have ever played these games, so it's not like we'd be able to get any useful data from asking people about them. So, there we have it. As always, I put together a Google Forms survey where people could give each game a rating from 1 to 5. Plus, people could write up to 5 words about each game so that we can find out a little bit about why these games got the ratings they did. And with that done, I posted a link to the survey on Twitter and YouTube and patiently waited for people's votes to come in. Alright, so some time has gone by, quite a lot of time, sorry about that, and over 3,000 people have responded to the survey. Thank you very, very much to every one of those people. Now, enough preamble, let's get into the list. And in 10th place is Mario Kart Tour, with an average rating of 2.17. Now, as the first and only Mario Kart game for mobile phones, Tour really needed to make a good first impression. Unfortunately, it didn't. I don't think so, at least. Upon the game's release, players around the world were met with a clunky, difficult-to-control physics system, some okay tracks, and a barrage of yucky microtransactions. Now, some of those things have been improved a bit with updates. The driving system, for instance, now gives players more customization options, although I still don't think this game feels good to control. But ultimately, I don't think Mario Kart Tour ever recovered from that first, somewhat lackluster first impression back in 2019. Pay to win, says one person. Cash grab, says another. And difficult with weird controls, says someone else. Next up, in 9th place is Super Mario Kart, with a score of 2.45. Now, as the very first Mario Kart game, 1992's Super Mario Kart deserves a whole lot of credit. So many of the Mario Kart elements first invented in this game are still around in the very newest entries in the series. However, while Super Mario Kart was a whole lot of fun when it came out in the 90s, I don't think it's aged that great. The physics, while revolutionary at the time, feel unruly and difficult to get a grasp on if you didn't grow up playing the game. And the pseudo 3D graphics were a really smart solution to the technical limitations of the day. But now they look dated, and they can even be confusing. It's not always easy to tell where obstacles or even other races are located in 3D space. So, while Super Mario Kart will always be the game that started this whole Mario Kart phenomenon, I think it's okay to point out that coming back to this first entry in the series in the year 2023 isn't easy. Some voter responses include a great game but outdated, iconic, didn't age well, and finally, the start of something great. Next up, 8th on the list is Mario Kart Live Home Circuit, with a score of 2.50. Now, Home Circuit is very much an outlier on this list. Instead of taking place within the world of Mario, Home Circuit takes place, at least in part, within your own living room, using remote-controlled race cars with little cameras on them. Now, that's a really neat idea, but it does come with some practical limitations. First, the game is expensive, 100 British pounds or 100 US dollars, which is quite a lot of money for one Mario Kart game. Second, you need a big living room. It sounds obvious, but in my home, playing this game wouldn't be possible, and I'm far from the only one in that situation. Cool concept but never played, wrote one person. Too expensive for me, said another. So you see, under the perfect set of circumstances, Mario Kart Live Home Circuit can be a joy. But because of those space requirements and that large price tag, a lot of people will never experience that joy, myself included. Number 7 is Mario Kart Super Circuit, with an average rating of 2.51. When Super Circuit was released in 2001, the game had one big, huge thing going for it. For the first time, you could take Mario Kart on the go. Experience the excitement of Mario Kart during long train journeys on the bus or hunched under your bedsheets. However, in the year 2023, there are 3 other, newer, flashier Mario Kart games released for portable game consoles, and so Super Circuit has lost its sheen a little. But while it might not be the only portable Mario Kart game anymore, it's still a very polished entry in the series. It uses those same faux 3D graphics as the original Super Mario Kart, but by 2001, Nintendo had a whole bunch of tricks up their sleeve, which makes this game look better, sound better, and feel better to control, too. Neat little game, says one person. Super Mario Kart, but better, says another. And lastly, good considering limitations. In the 6th spot is a real classic, Mario Kart 64, with a score of 3.33. So this game marks a huge step forward for Mario Kart, thanks largely to the introduction of 3D tracks. For the first time, the road you drive upon turns not only left and right, but also up and down. You can drive up hills or down into valleys while the track weaves in and around itself. A lot of the tracks from the original Super Mario Kart kind of blend together and feel a bit samey. That is not at all the case with Mario Kart 64, which features a whole bunch of extremely iconic Mario Kart tracks. Plus, 4-player multiplayer. For the first time, 4 people could face off, leading to chaos-filled races that would stick in your mind for a long time. Super Mario Kart might have kick-started the Mario Kart series, but it's this game, Mario Kart 64, that turned it into what it is today. Some of the responses include, Mario Kart was truly born here, great introduction to 3D racing, and finally, good but a little dated. Number 5 is Mario Kart 7, with an average rating of 3.67. Now, Mario Kart 7 is a personal favourite of mine. It's the first Mario Kart game I owned for myself, so I'm probably gonna be just a little bit biased here. But there's so much to love in this game. Gliders let you soar through the air, kart customization gives you control over your own vehicle, and underwater racing opens tracks up to completely new areas. This game feels bursting with new, fresh ideas, almost all of which made it into future Mario Kart games. Mario Kart 7 is an often overlooked entry in the Mario Kart series, overshadowed by Mario Kart Wii and Mario Kart 8, which sandwiched it on either side. But for me, this game will always be a special one. Glider mechanic is cool, says one person. Fairly forgettable, says another. And lastly, underrated gem, best handheld entry. Next up, in 4th place is Mario Kart Double Dash, which received a score of 3.86. Now, Double Dash is kind of a weird one. You see, fans were expecting a follow-up to the beloved Mario Kart 64, but with better graphics, even more exciting courses, and a bunch of new racers. And all of those things happened, but with a twist. And that twist was two-person karts. For the first and only time in the Mario Kart series, two characters would ride on board each go-kart, with one character steering and the other throwing items. Then, as a player, you had the choice to either control both of those characters yourself, or you could team up with a friend to control the one kart together. It's a twist that the Mario Kart series has never seen anything like since, and I think it helped Double Dash stand out from the rest of the pack. Some of the responses include most unique entry, fun races, nice concept, and really cool gimmick. Okay, we're down to the top 3, and in third place is Mario Kart DS with an average rating of 3.93. Now, Super Circuit might have been the first handheld Mario game, but Mario Kart DS is the first one that did it really well. In this game, everything from the tracks to the racers is fully 3D, and that technical jump forward comes with a huge leap in track quality too. Tick-Tock Clock, Cheat Cheat Beach, Airship Fortress, and of course, Waluigi Pinball. The fact that so many of these iconic Mario Kart tracks originated from this handheld Mario Kart game from 2005 is extremely impressive. Add to that the first ever online mode and a robust single-player campaign, and it's no surprise that Mario Kart DS ranked so high on the list. Some of the responses include first true portable Mario Kart game, some of the best tracks, mission mode was the best, and of course, Waluigi Pinball. In second place, the runner-up, is Mario Kart Wii with a score of 4.27. Now, Mario Kart Wii was a phenomenon. For the first time, mums, dads, uncles, and grandparents would have a Wii wheel thrust into their hands and would face off against family members, racing along some of the series' most iconic tracks, like Coconut Mall and Moo Moo Meadows. Mario Kart Wii opened up the world of Mario Kart to a huge new group of people. It also introduced fan-favourite characters Rosalina and Funky Kong, along with motorbikes too. A whole generation of families have fond memories of sitting down in front of the TV and racing. And luckily, Mario Kart Wii is one of the best games they could have picked to do just that. Classic fun with friends, writes one person. Masterpiece, says another. And finally, almost the best game in the series. Right, next up, in first place, the most popular Mario Kart game, according to the survey, is Mario Kart 8/Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. What a shock, said nobody. Yeah, I expected to see this game at the top of the list, and for good reason. I still remember when I first played Mario Kart 8 and was completely blown away. It looked like a Pixar movie that you, the player, got to control. And then there's the music. For the first time, Nintendo recorded actual musicians performing real instruments, which just elevated the jazz and orchestral soundtrack into heights far beyond every other Mario Kart game. Then, there's the anti-gravity mechanic, which allowed Nintendo's designers to build tracks that looped all around themselves, up and onto the ceiling, many of which are some of the best tracks in the series' history. And not only are the tracks great, but there are an unbelievable number of them in the game. When Mario Kart 8 first launched on the Wii U, it included 32 courses. Then another 16 were added as DLC, and then finally, in the Booster Course Pass, an extra 48 were added. All of that adds up to a total of 96 courses, a number that has never been anywhere near matched in the past, and I'm not sure will ever be reached again either. Peak Mario Kart, Best Mario Kart, Quintessential Mario Kart, and Mario Kart Perfected, say the survey respondents. If someone had never played Mario Kart and asked me which one to start with, hands down, I would tell them to go buy this game. It's the most polished, most enjoyable, most fun entry in the series, for one. And for two, they would never, ever run out of tracks to race upon. And that's that. Again, thanks so much to all of the voters who took part in the survey. But if you missed out, then don't fret, because right now I've put out another survey where you can give every single Mario Kart 8 track a rating from 1 to 5. And then next week we'll be going through the data to find out what the most and least popular tracks are. Thank you very, very much for watching, and I will see you next week. Bye!